Hi everyone, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and together we are going to build a memory wire bracelet using some beautiful Czech glass beads. Even the pearls are Czech glass. So you see that we've got this pretty green as well, and then we have this fire polish, so it has some nice sparkle to it. So we're going to do a Christmas project here. So we've got some nice Christmassy colors, the white, the green, and the red. And then we are going to add a little charm. We've got this little snowflake charm with the little crystal accents. And we're going to be using some gold memory wire because I think gold is nice and festive for the holidays. But you could also just go ahead and use silver as well. Then for our tools, we're going to need a memory wire cutter. So make sure that you do not use your regular cutters. They will get damaged by the memory wire. So you want to use memory wire cutters. And then we're going to be using a pair of round nose pliers to finish the ends. I've got a couple pairs of chain nose pliers to add a jump ring for the charm at the end. And then just to cut my strands off of their string, I am going to just use a regular cutter, but you could use a pair of scissors as well. So those are going to be the supplies that we're going to be using, as well as the tools, and we're going to actually build this together as we go in the video. Let's start by cutting our strands apart. So you get lots of beads on these strands. So for memory wire, you can use whatever beads you want, as long as they've got the holes which are big enough to go through the memory wire to go through. So the only exception might be natural pearls sometimes have really small holes, and sometimes certain gemstone beads do too. But if you're using a gemstone like a Dakota stone, that's going to be fine usually for going through the hole. But I do like strands because you get so many beads on them and they fill up a lot of nice space. So I'm just cutting these off the strand. So we've got these to play with. I'm going to take the charm and the jump rings and take them aside right now. And so what I've got here is I have my memory wire. So if you've never worked with memory wire, it's really nice because it holds its shape. So it's got this really nice coil to it. And what I want to do, and this is actually left over from another project, so you always keep your leftover because you're going to be able to use it for a whole other project, which is nice. I'm going to finish one end, and by finishing one end is going to allow me to basically have a stop so that my beads do not fall off. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I am just going to grab the tip of it, if you can see that, and I'm going to make a little loop. And I'm just bending it. And it's quite stiff. It has to be stiff to keep its shape. So I just made a nice little loop. And what you want to do, because we're going to eventually add a jump ring to this, is make sure that that loop is nice and fully closed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our beads. Now you can go ahead and you can somewhat predetermine the length that you want, or you can just bead from the top here and not cut your memory wire to begin with. So I tend to like to do that because that way I can just bead as much as I want, and then when I'm happy with my design, I cut it and I create a loop on the other side. So I tend not to pre-cut my memory wire, but if this is too much of a hassle to go through all the little loops and you know you only want it to be a couple strands, you can, or a couple loops I should say, you can pre-cut your memory wire. But so we've got our stopper on, our strands have been cut, and we're ready to add our beads at this point. All right, this is so much fun because you really do just get to play. So you can put these on in any order. You can do color blocking where you have maybe 5 reds, 5 greens, 5 whites, and so forth, or you can just put them on a random pattern. So I think I'm just gonna do random here. So you just slide a bead on, and I'm gonna do a couple. And so I said I was going to do a couple, but I noticed I'm starting to do a pattern. I think that's just how my brain works. And I wanted to design this here with you on camera because it is fun. It's no right or wrong here, but I do think actually I do want the pattern where I'm just going to alternate the red, the green, the white, and so forth. So once you have some on, what I like to do to get them to go down to the bottom is I just swirl. Sometimes they swirl easily, sometimes they don't. But you can kind of twist them down, or you can push them down. So if you want to push them down, you just follow the path of your wire, go around and around. You keep doing that until they stop, and they're gonna stop on that little loop you already made. So you don't have to worry about them falling off. Okay, so there we go. So we've got our pattern started. And I do think I'm just gonna keep to this pattern. I'm gonna add a few more and see how it looks. But I think I'll keep to the pattern until I have as many on as I want. So I left off with a red right here. So I need to add a green. And then what was I doing? Red, green, white. Okay, red, green, white. And these pearls look really nice. I think they're very festive. They're very holiday inspired. They add a little bit of luxury to it, which is always fun. So I'll do a whole other sequence of green and then white and then red. Okay, so we have a whole nother bit, and you can keep adding these. You don't have to slide these down right now. They're going to eventually work their way down, but you just keep adding the beads. And then by sliding them down, you can see how much space they're covering, which will kind of gauge how many you do want to add, because we can add all of these, or we can save some leftover beads for another project, maybe make another bangle or make another earring or something like that. Okay, so we got some more beads on here. Let's just slide them on down. Okay. There we go. So now you can see how our pattern is looking. So that is our Christmas pattern right now. And then I'm just gonna keep adding beads until I have as many as I want. Then what I'll do is I'll come back on camera here and I'll show you how to finish off the bracelet, how to cut your wire, make your other loop, and add your little charm. This is a fun, quick and easy project for the holidays. I finished adding all the beads I think I want to add to it. So it makes basically 2 full loops if you look at this here. So we've got it going around. We got 2 nice loops, and then we have this here. So it's almost where the ends meet up. You can do whatever you like. So you'll see that you do have some extra beads. It looks like based on the size of the beads, you only have a few extra green if you're doing it this way, more of the red because they're smaller, so you can fit more on a strand, and some more of the white too. So we've got all of our beads and they're all down. So what you want to do before you cut your memory wire and finish it off is you want to make sure there's not a gap anywhere. Sometimes when you're making memory wire bracelets, there can accidentally be a little gap where the beads are not all the way pushed down, but this looks good. They're pushed down except for, look, I have a little red bead hanging out there. Okay, so I want to make sure that red bead goes all the way down, and then there's no more beads on my wire. What you want to then do is you're going to come in here and you're going to snip your wire, and you're going to give yourself about 1/3 of an inch. So kind of between 1/4 and 1/2. And we're just kind of eyeballing it, and we're going to cut our wire, and it just snips right off. We're going to go back with our round nose pliers, and we're going to make another little loop the same way we made the first one. So just twist and make sure you finish off that loop as well. And that will stop your beads from falling off. So now we have our bracelet. It is all done, and you just slip it on your wrist. So it really is a one size fits most type situation because it is flexible and it can stretch out and it goes back into its own shape. So now I want to go ahead and add our little charm. So I picked out the little snowflake, and I'm gonna attach it with a jump ring. Now I brought 2 sizes of jump rings to my table when I started this project. I brought a 4 and a 6 because I really wasn't sure which one I was gonna use because I didn't make this project ahead of time. We were making this together in the video. I'm gonna try the 4. I think the 4 is gonna work, but I wanted to have the 6 handy in case I needed it. So you're just going to open up your jump ring just by twisting it. So you twist it open, you slip on your charm, and then you attach this to one of the little rings. And then you're just going to close that jump ring right up, and your project is done. And we've made a really easy, very fun and festive memory wire bracelet for the holidays. So I hope you enjoyed this project. The full ingredient list and all the other information is available over at Beadaholique.com. And we have other tutorials showing you different ways to finish memory wire bracelets, bigger memory wire bracelets using different types of beads. So if this is something that interests you, we have a lot of variety over at Beadaholique.com showing you different ways to make projects using memory wire. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone, and take care. I'll see you in the next video.